Welcome to this week's episode of Success in Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And this week we're going to be talking about leadership. And you know how important all of that is when you're talking about running a household, getting a job, running a business. But before we get started, Andrea's got her tip of the week.
Hi, ladies. Well, it's that time of year, and we're going to be bringing out the sweaters. So if they've been packed away, you want to get them out, have a look. Maybe some of them have to be washed, but some of them from the wear from the season before have, you know, the little ballies on them or fuzz. So what you do is you might not have one of those fancy dancy electric ones. You grab your razor blade and you just gently shave your sweaters.
That's a good idea.
And they look brand new.
And for the most part, most people will have the little disposable shavers to make it easy enough to do, but we don't all have that fancy thing.
No.
Although I have to tell you, years ago, when my husband and I were first married, we actually owned one of those little things. And I don't know what happened to it throughout the year because we used to use that. But it's nice to know now that you can use that.
You don't need to have
blade.
one of those.
Yeah,
you just get your dollar store
disposable.
The blue ones, remember?
I know, I bought
don't
that.
buy the pink ones.
I
get
did.
the blue one.
Yeah.
And shave your sweaters.
Yeah, more
They'll
value.
look brand new. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, leadership. This is such an important quality, and you may be in a leadership role already, but are you really leading? And when I talk about that, it's not just in the workplace, but even at home. And this is a good indicator if you're a leader or not. Maybe you're supposed to be, but your kids really dictate what goes on in your home. That's not good leadership skills.
No.
And as a parent or a boss, you know, an employer, because you might have one employee, you might have 20, whatever, you have to take that leadership role very seriously because people are looking up to you to make decisions.
Exactly. So you must be aware of how you're behaving, how you behave under certain situations, stress, good times, bad times, and people are watching. They're seeing how you react, and if they see that you're able to take things under control, even at home, they respect you more. They look up to you more, and they believe in you. And I find that even with my own children. I'm very much a leader at home, and the kids will always come with questions, and they'll say, well, my mom will know that, or my mom knows what to do there, and that makes me feel good that I'm doing my job, you know. And so in the same with the workplace, you know, you have to be able to inspire your workers.
Yes.
They have to respect you and look up to you. Otherwise, they're not motivated. They're not motivated. The boss doesn't care. Why should we?
And you know, the thing is how you handle the stress of a situation. Because even if you want to, I'll say, fly off the handle, you got to step away from the situation, take a deep breath, give yourself a little bit of time to ponder, reflect, and come back calm. Doesn't matter what you feel inside, but how you react. And I remember, Andrea, on one of our episodes in the earlier days, I'll say, we came up with the formula E plus R equals O. And what that stands for, what is the event? How is your response to that event? Because that will equal the outcome. And that outcome is everything to your family, to your friends, to your employees, to your co-workers.
Yes.
How are you responding to whatever the event is? And when you have a leadership position, you must respond in an appropriate way so that your outcome is reflective of somebody that can respect what you're doing in this situation as a leader.
Exactly.
And you know, when you look at the leaders, you know, of countries and everything else, some will have a lot more respect than others, but it's because how are they dealing with how are they responding to different situations?
How they present themselves even to the world, you know. Like,
Yes.
And we all look up to the leaders.
Well, we're supposed to.
We're supposed to, exactly. Right now it's been tough.
Yes.
And because we're not, like you say, certain events and how they're
Responding to it.
responding to it, we're not liking very much, you know.
Yeah.
But I put it to I mean, it's a small thing, but in my house, I'm very calm. When what I'm saying is, when we're talking about stress, I've been places in people's homes where the child has dropped something, spilled something, and the parents just go crazy. Oh, for crying out loud, can't you hold on to that? For me, I always say, it's only water. It's only juice. Relax, because my husband tends to be one of those. He's Italian, they like, their mothers had everything clean. And there you go. She was in a position of leadership, and that's what he saw.
Oh.
That's how he reacts, right? Because she wanted everything clean. I like everything clean, but I'm very patient. So when my grandson comes over and things fall, or mind you, he's very patient with my grandson. Like, those sayings, right? Like with your children, you kick their butt, but the grandkids, you're feeding them grapes while they're lounging on the chair. It's so true. But no, I always say that to my daughter. Relax, stay calm. It's nothing life-threatening here. It's just a little bit of water. And you can see that the child relax, calm down. They're not so scared, because children are children. They don't understand your reaction, right?
Well, if you do react, I'll say hyper, even if, for example, say they didn't spill something, but they fell. Just, they were, I don't know, playing. Anyway, they fell. And then, children tend to cry very quickly.
Right.
And if you're all panicked, they'll cry even more.
Oh, yes.
But if you're, like you said, you're very calm and you go there and you find out what's happened, you can get them out of that situation very quickly.
Very quickly.
And I remember one time taking my younger sister swimming, and there's a big age difference between her and I, so I was the one looking after her. She was only maybe about 3.
We all had those roles, didn't we, back then? We came from big families, and we were the elder. We had younger siblings, and we all had to babysit.
We did. And so, I brought her, and I don't know if you remember the bay, because we went swimming at the bay all the time. And there was one rock underneath the water, and I brought her out there, carried her out there, and put her on the rock, and she slipped off.
Oh boy.
And of course she went under, because it was deep enough where she was only little, and she went under. But instead of crying when I pulled her up, because I was right there, I said, that, and we blamed it on the rock, that stupid rock. The rock made her fall.
Right.
Because she could have easily been so afraid.
Yes.
Because if I panicked, she would have panicked and thought she got to cry, because that's what they do, right?
Right.
And so the way you react definitely has an impact on other people.
Definitely. You really have to watch how you react to certain things if you have people looking at you for leadership.
Always. And that doesn't end. And so in the workplace, there's always crises that come up. But how you're actually handling that crisis makes a difference to, again, your colleagues and your employees, if you happen to be in a leadership position of being their boss.
Exactly.
But
and it's not easy to be, when you have multiple different people, different characters. And that's another thing. A good leader can see the weaknesses, the strengths in their employees. And instead of, delegating something to someone is not capable, it's just going to be frustrating. You give it to someone else and you explain to them, I feel that you're the better person for the job, or that you understand it better. And then the other person delegate what they're, like, even, again, in my home, one daughter she loves to cook, so she's better with me in the kitchen. The other one is better outside with the plants, so they love to be out there with the plants. So, not everybody is the same. And you have to see that. You have to pick that out. And even when my children were smaller, I could see right away one was a dancer. So, and she loved to dance, and I encouraged her all that way. And now she's a dance teacher. The other one, she loved to be in charge, and she loved to be, showing the other kids she's a true leader. So she's a teacher. Whereas, and the younger one was always into animals. Unfortunately, she, I thought she would be a vet, but then she didn't like the idea of putting them down. So
Yeah, and there's always that thing, because it's funny. I got my nails done recently, and I was talking to the nail lady, and she's got a dog, and she said, really, if she had her way, that would be, she'd want to work in an animal shelter. If she didn't actually have to earn money, it would be even better, she said, because she
Right.
could just volunteer her time because she loves animals that
Right.
much. And that's the thing. I mean, there's that positive stuff of working with animals and the negative stuff,
Yeah.
and you have to know even your own skills.
Mhm.
But I like what you said about understanding when you've got employees working for you, or even in your own family, your children, seeing what the strengths are, because sometimes you want to push something
Right.
on a child or an employee that really that's not their disposition to be able to do that, or be able to do it well.
Right.
And then you get frustrated as a mother or as an employer to say, like, your employee's not doing the job. No, find the skills that they're very good at. Everybody has those strengths.
yes, they
and
do.
you have to look for those strengths and capitalize on that, and not the weakness, almost to make them look bad.
Exactly.
Why would you want to do that?
Right. And that's the difference between
A good leader.
A good leader, because a good leader wants everybody under them to be successful.
Yes, exactly. And I remember many years ago working for this firm, and the person that was in charge of, I'll say, the admin people, never liked when they hired somebody that was so good, because they felt like it made them look bad. And I always said,
Really?
I want to hire somebody that are so good, that they're so much better than I am.
Yeah.
They make me look good.
Of course.
That's a good leader, to find those
Exactly.
traits and qualities and capitalize on that stuff. Don't be intimidated and be afraid that,
No.
all of a sudden, well, you're not going to look as good. And so you want to get rid of those people, because I've met those people that have gotten fired from jobs because they were threatened in one way, like their boss was threatened by their skills.
Wow.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Those are the people I want to hire. I don't want
Exactly.
somebody that can do work less than what I
Right.
want to do. And all great
Because, yeah.
leaders find the best workers, because it makes them look even better.
And
Because
takes a load off of them.
it does.
Like and see, now there's the kicker there. A lot of them want all the glory. They have that, what is it, the martyr effect or something, like, oh, look at me, I had to do it all myself. If it wasn't for me, and I did, this and that. And and those people are hard to work for.
But they're not good
'Cause
leaders.
They're not good leaders.
They don't
because
know
they're
how to-
never satisfied
No.
with what you do.
Yeah, and they don't want to take the time to train you.
No.
And so
they don't.
understand that too. If you feel sometimes intimidated by, I'll say, your boss or other people, maybe it's because they feel threatened by you.
Mhm.
Don't look at yourself and say, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. No, a lot of times that's not the case. If you know and you recognize that you have some weaknesses, and maybe you need to take, I'll say, a course to improve a skill, or you go to your boss and say, how can I do this better, and get them to show you ways.
Right.
But if you're still feeling, I'm going to say, almost threatened by the fact that you think you're doing it, and it's happened to me myself, it's happened to me. I was doing a good job, but other people felt threatened by that. Now, and sometimes you're young and you feel intimidated because they're in a more leadership position. But as a person that's gotten older and more experience, I've recognized now when people feel threatened by my skills.
Oh.
And sometimes in your own situation, you've got to stand back, look at it, and say, what is really going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go and you talk to your boss, I'll say, and have this open dialogue, because it's really important to communicate. If you feel like you're being, I'll say, almost made to feel incompetent, find out really what's going on. Because
Exactly.
sometimes that boss may not really be a good leader. And I know it's sometimes you're treading on, thin
Yeah.
ice when you want to go above them. but always do your best and communicate to find out. If you feel that you're not, go and find out and get that help to improve. And if it's still not working, sometimes you just have to go above, or you may have to leave.
Right.
Because,
But, you know, stay true to who you are.
exactly.
Like, don't be nasty. Don't
Right.
try to undermine, say, your boss or whatever.
Yeah, it's not a tit for tat
No,
here.
it's not. And like you say, communication is key, like we've talked before. And you go say, can we have a conversation? You know, do you have time? Can we sit down? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Is there something that I can change? And it could be just a personality conflict.
Exactly.
You know, and I used to find that when my kids were younger with the teachers, if I felt that something wasn't right, I know what my kids are capable of.
Right.
And when they're coming home with C's, I'm thinking, something's not right here, you know, and I know they're putting in the work.
Yeah.
And so I called the school, and I've had sit downs with a few teachers, and, you know, I found out what was happening.
yeah.
And, you know, before I jump off the edge and say, oh, those teachers don't know nothing and this, no, that doesn't help nobody. That doesn't help your child, doesn't help them in future, because they think they're always right. And there were issues, and we
got them corrected.
We got them corrected. And that's how you are successful and how you are a leader for
Right.
your family, for your workplace. You know, you have to show them how to handle things properly.
And you know, one of the things, and this happened to me recently, I had stepped away from the gym for a while and been having some issues. I went on vacation, and then took me a while to get back, but I went back. So what I did was I texted my personal trainer that I had, and she never texted me back. And it was like 2 weeks, and I didn't hear anything. So I walked into the gym and I talked to the person who had initially assigned this person to me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that you mentioned is that we don't all gel when it comes to personalities.
That's right.
And I could feel there was always a bit of tension, but I would go and I'd listen and do whatever she told me to do. But I knew it wasn't a really good working relationship.
Yeah.
And because I am a take charge person, I'm a Leo, I always find myself taking the lead on a lot of stuff. I just went back to
Really?
Yeah, I know. So I went to my the trainer that I used to have that had been promoted, and I said, listen, you need to get me another trainer. First of all, she didn't respond to my text. It's been over 2 weeks. I said,
Wow.
is she still at the gym? And he goes, yeah. And then I showed him the text, and I'm like, okay. I said, you know, the thing is, obviously there was a problem, because she doesn't seem to want me as a client. And you know, personal trainers are paid by how many people they train.
Right.
If she had no capacity left, she could have acknowledged that and said, I'm sorry, but my schedule is full.
Mm-hmm.
But if she had room, she just obviously didn't want me as one of her clients.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue with that, because I felt it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I had to go in, and now I'm still waiting for him to get back to me. But his boss is taking a leave, and he's got everything on his plate right now. And that's the other thing, you know, with how he's taking charge of his own. And I told him, you know, you got to take this one step at a time and kind of, I'll say, see the bigger picture.
Right.
But the point is, as a leader, you have to know when to delegate other people as well, but you also have to
Right.
know when to take charge for your own self. And whether
Yes.
that's for, you know, something at work, something, I'll say, on the fitness, something in your health, you have to take charge. And that's what
Yes.
leaders do.
Yes.
And they delegate when they need to.
Yes. Even
But-
if it's going outside the box, if
Yes.
you're, you know, you have 5 employees, but nobody seems to be able to tackle this problem, then outsource. Find
Yes.
somebody who
Yes.
can,
Yes.
you know, and get it done.
Yeah.
Just
Don't
get
be
it
afraid
done.
that that would make you look bad. It actually makes
Exactly.
you look better.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah.
You know, that if I can't do something in the house, I'll call somebody. Like, I'm not going to go up 2 flights, you know, outside and go to the upper level to wash windows. I'm not capable of doing that. And at my age, I could fall off a ladder, break a hip. No.
Yeah.
Just call somebody, you
Yeah.
know, or you get some teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, there's always some way of doing it. So you outsource, and that's instead of trying to do it all myself, which
Right.
I don't want to do it all myself, because then I suffer physically, mentally, and then my family suffers because I'm crabby.
Yeah.
The other day I was crabby about, I don't know, I had a crabby day. I just had, and I couldn't understand why. But everything everybody did was irritating me. But, I just kind of kept my mouth quiet and, just went
This too shall pass.
Yeah, just this will pass. Go to another room. I don't think I had good enough sleep the night before. And that's my fault.
Yes.
It was nothing they were doing out of the ordinary.
Right.
It was stuff they do every single day.
And when you're tired, though, most things can get to you a
Yeah.
lot more than if you've had a
So
restful
realizing
sleep.
that, even as a
Yes.
leader, you go into work, if you're having an off day, try and stay away from the employees
Yeah.
as much as possible, because one little thing, because you know what? Those things it comes out of your mouth in a minute, but it can stay with other people for days, weeks, months.
Yes.
They could maybe never feel
Forget.
about you the same
Yeah.
way ever again. And what was it over? It was nothing they did. It was because you were in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't want to yell at my kids or say something nasty, because we forget that they look up to us. And a lot of times I forget that I'm a mom. And I don't know, because they're at that age, I feel like they're more like on my friend level.
Yeah.
But they're not. I see it. I hear it in their voice. Mom, mom. And I think, you know what? I'm still their leader.
Yeah.
And I need to remember that.
I was listening to, I listen to a lot of audiobooks and webinars and stuff, and I was listening to one by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, but one of the stories he was saying just about leaders, and it goes back to making sure that you draw from your family or your employees the skills that you don't have. And they talked about a story about Henry Ford, actually, when he wanted to build the 8-cylinder vehicle motor.
Right.
And he obviously didn't have the skills, but he could visualize this so much in his mind that he wasn't going to let up. And as a good leader, that's the other thing that you have to recognize, is that if you've got something here and you want to get it out, you've got to find those people. So you can't replace your family, but your employees you can.
Yeah.
And what happened was he started to get employees to build or bring to life his vision of this 8-cylinder motor. And there were some of the employees basically that kept saying, impossible, impossible, impossible. He didn't want those people around.
No.
He wanted people, even though they couldn't do it, to try to figure it out.
Be creative.
Be creative. Think outside the box.
Think outside the box. And there are a lot of people. I look at Steve Jobs.
100%.
They had the ideas, and they just need people around them. And
they don't want people saying no.
No. And a good leader will let them know that, just bring me your ideas. I'll listen.
Right.
And maybe we'll implement them.
But also, that's
make
why
sure
it has
it's
to
open.
be open. That's
Right.
right. That open-mindedness. Because you have to have an open mind in order to possibly see what somebody else is and why they're trying to encourage you to come up with this. So if you have the technical skills, but you can't envision it,
Right.
just be open-minded to that person who sees it already. Because there's going to be a way. Otherwise, would we ever gotten into space?
Yeah.
Would we ever have gotten into a lot of things that we're
Electric
getting?
cars.
Electric cars.
Everything.
All of that stuff with a good leader. Keep the open mind, but
Open.
draw from your, I'll say, when I say surroundings of people, because it doesn't matter where you are in life. And again, it could be your neighbors, your friends, your family, your employees.
Right. Don't
your
write
work
anybody
colleagues.
off.
Yeah, don't.
Don't write anybody off, because they might have just a little thing, one little thing in their brain that will come out that'll make it all click.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So leaders, lead.
Lead.
Remember that if you want to get ahead. So we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Success in Women, and we hope that you
Like.
share.
And please subscribe.
And until next week, we'll see you later. Don't forget, 2 thumbs up.
Bye, ladies.